amigos, welcome back to Money Maketh Man. I'm your host, Oro Gbinije, aka OG, and on this episode of Brushstrokes and Bankable, we'll be talking everything art, curation, art investment, and the Nigerian art scene. And today I have a very special guest with me, so stay tuned. Welcome back. So like I said, this episode is about brushstrokes and bank alert. And today I have a very special guest. So I'm going to let her introduce herself. Welcome to Money Maketh Man.
Hi, thank you, Oro. My name is Nazarene Gbinije. You simply call me Naz. And I'm an art curator and cultural strategist. I'm also the founder of Lewy Studios.
So today in the studio, I actually have with me one of the leading curators in Nigeria. Actually, so happens to be my big sis. So, 2 for 1. So before we get into today's topic, I know how you got into the art space, but can you tell my viewers how you entered the Nigerian art space?
I entered into the art space through just basic curiosity, It came from my simply appreciation of art and actually just noticing that this is actually a part of our living space. This is part of every interpretations and all of that. And growing up, we had a couple of artworks in the house where I didn't really know the interpretations because I was always told that story that it's scary, it's this, and the Nigerian movie scene and all of that. But as I grew older, I began to form sort of like a bond with colors and started interpreting artworks and telling stories behind them.
Okay, so basically curiosity and upbringing took you to art. Okay, cool. We also actually have an uncle who is an artist, who is a really great artist. So maybe it's also in the blood. So let's talk about the Nigerian art scene. As an industry, how do you see the viability of the Nigerian art scene?
I see it as a very tangible and well-developing industry. It has gotten a lot of international support, and this is not just from visual arts, but all the forms of Nigerian art has actually gotten very good international recognition. And what I think the tangibility is actually the talents, the young people we have here, the people who are not afraid to speak up, use their craft, use their medium, to engage, to share their messages. And also those who are recognizing what it is and taking part in collecting culture, collecting history. And this serves as sort of like a time stamp in our existence. Because what you do today, you won't be able to do the same thing tomorrow. You most definitely must have improved.
Yeah,
due
exactly.
to experience, exposure and all of that. So every moment you're able to create something and you're able to put a record of it, it actually serves as a timestamp in history.
Okay, so we have gone past the time of when you were younger and you wanted to be an artist, it was looked at as like a lower profession. People are actually aspiring to be artists. People want to go to art school and they're learning different types of art, from painting to sculpting to woodwork. I know an artist, you told me about this artist that uses fire to create artwork. So they're really great artists, and we have likes of Anthony, I don't know his surname, but I know he does sculpting and he paints. Victor, he is a Benin artist who used rosaries to create that, Edo sculpture. Then also thinking about it as a spectator and not a talent, what factors make an art piece worth the money? Because we have seen a banana peel taped to a wall and it's sold for how many millions of dollars, and we've seen some very ridiculous prices of art. So what are the factors that come together to make an artwork so expensive or so sought after or so special, even though to the naked eye it might just be like it's a banana peel?
Okay, so I think today in the art market, what we're actually seeing is trends over quality or over things that really matter. So tying a banana peel to the wall was just an example of how important trends are.
Yeah.
So anything can go viral and become very, very big.
Yeah.
A banana peel that tarnish and die off in how many seconds or how many minutes, it's a dead material already, and if it depends on you too as a narrator or someone who is observing that artwork or that display. So some people, you just say, oh, the process of life, it started as a plant, grew into days, left it to a family and went to die up all alone. You can draw different narratives out of a simple thing where people would have said, oh, it's tarnished. And you can just use that to also relate to human existence. You know, art is for you. It's not for the artist. The artist is just a medium of creation. It's just like singing. You can't sing to yourself and say, oh, you sang.
Yeah.
You when you sang is when people hear you and say, oh, you've actually sang. It's the same thing as acting. You can't be in your room and just displaying by yourself. People will pass and think you are mad. But it's when there's a screen in front of you, you know, there's a camera in front of you, there's direction, there's storytelling. There's a whole production that goes into drawing up that narrative. And yes, that is what the Nigerian art scene is looking at now.
Okay.
A whole lot of more creative explorations. So things will move very fast from the typical you know, go out and say, oh, I'm going to a gallery kind of standard. You start to see a whole lot more of immersive productions, immersive storytelling, people using their voices more.
Okay.
To actually talk about their works. You see a whole lot more of artist participation. Gone are the days when artists would just sit behind in their studio and say they're just painting. Now you're a content creator, you're a business strategist, you're a marketer.
True.
You're even dancing trends on TikTok
to push your work.
Yes. So it's all part of what the system is right now.
Okay, so as a curator, obviously you come across so many artists on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, and talent is something that is not scarce in Nigeria. But what makes an artist bankable? Like when you look at this artist and you're like, you know what, if I put a collection together, I'm going to, you know, make returns on my investments.
So art is not a fast flip asset.
Okay.
You know, there has to be you have to, and when you're thinking of artwork that is bankable, you have to buy with intent. You have to buy with intent. It means that you have to understand what this artist's trajectory has been, who is talking about him, who has also purchased from him, what circles are his artworks being passed, because that's how the exchange happens.
Okay.
If you have a very special piece now and you want to sell it, you won't go and put it outside and say, hey, I have this treasure I want to sell. It's within your circle, within your own network that you're able to make a lot of these movements. A lot of them go in exchange that are very, very far from what you think art is actually selling for. And that's really what makes an artwork bankable, you know. The artist trajectory, who is talking about them, who has them in their collection. Imagine the let's say, give me somebody's name.
Van Gogh.
One of no, not even a big artist, a small person just painting.
Yinkore Nengi's art. I don't know. These are artists that I know.
Okay, let's say a world leader. Let's say someone like, I don't want to mention anybody. Let me not be controversial. I want to say Putin, but okay, let's say someone like Putin visits or is on the web and he sees somebody's artwork and he really likes it, and he buys it and he makes it public that, oh, I bought this artist from one artist in Agege that I just painting on that. Do you know the people that be looking for that person? Because they want to understand what that person with such a complex mindset is able to see in this person. So it's art value really grows from the point of view. That's why visibility is very important. That's why our work as curators, the curating process is very important, because you want to create platforms that are really, really visible in the right way, not to undervalue or to over publicize the work, you know, because there's a bit of secrecy too to how art is perceived. So you have to more like create environments that this can really thrive in, especially for the right target audience. So being that, in this time and age, people can really collect as they used to collect before. So people who are really collecting now understand the strategy behind it.
Collecting. So you said something that's struck out to me. You said art is not a fast flip asset. So art might take longer to mature as an investment. So from the sense of a collector, because like I always say, one of the signs, you know how to say when you've made it, there will be signs. One of the signs for me is that you will see artwork hanging in my house. So as an aspiring collector, right now, I just see things and I'm like, oh my God, this is so pretty. And I'm like, if I had the money, I'll actually just buy it, I keep it. But for a mature, let me use the word collector, what should a collector look at, especially now that art is another form of investment, is an alternative form of investment, something you bought for maybe like $2,000, maybe like 10 years, you can sell it for 50K or 100K, depending on, like you said, the circle and the artist history. So as an aspiring collector and to already existing collectors, what are the things one should look out for?
The artist trajectory is very important. who is collecting these artists, who is talking about them, where they are being shown, the kind of institutions that are used, that work with them. And that really helps because, like I mentioned earlier, whatever you put out there is like a timestamp.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So at that point, you're collecting culture, you're buying into a well-documented history package.
Okay.
So imagine getting a group of works from a particular artist that really spoke about a certain time in a certain environment when there were certain struggles, and this person was able to to really capture this story through art or through a form of visual expression. When you have something like that, you don't just have an artwork on the wall, you have history.
Okay.
You have something that is traceable. You have something that is verifiable. And that's what actually makes artwork. And again, a lot of the story that is being told about it. So if you want to make like an artwork go viral now, you start talking, just like when you want to make an artist grow big, you start putting them everywhere.
You create a story.
Create a story around it.
Something of value around it. Okay, so as a curator in Nigeria, what are the challenges you would say are in the Nigerian art space, and challenges you might face as a curator? Or you face as a curator?
So basically, like every institution, the major challenge is one thing: funding. Yeah. So as much as we are seeing a lot of grants and a lot of opportunities, platforms come up to support, the curatorial practice in Nigeria is not studied. It's something you just really make up your mind. Says you schooled abroad or something, where you've done art history or something. For most people here who became curators, it came in through more of the design, as from the design phase, or from the part of really just appreciating art, not necessarily because you studied art or you really have anything to do with art. So it's sort of like learn as you go process.
Okay.
So your previous experiences from maybe your various other works, like maybe you're in banking or will actually have influenced how you curate your works. So your portfolio as a curator, your portfolio should be like more of your own way of interpreting those works and those experiences.
Okay.
So your own work goes beyond the artwork. It goes into people experience. It goes into how the art is perceived, how the artist is perceived. Those kind of things, because you are more of like a cultural storyteller.
Yeah. When we talk about funding, yes, obviously you said there are grants and all of that, but I don't know if you can divulge this, but what does it take, give or take, to do a decent exhibition?
Honestly, nothing.
Nothing.
A decent exhibition?
Yes.
Nothing.
Really? Okay. Please explain. Explain more. I'm so confused.
It's your choice, and you have a lot of control on how you want to show your work.
Okay.
Now, what would you call a decent exhibition? Is something that is very visible. So exhibitions are to make things visible. What do you really need to make things visible? An artist can decide to come here for 30 minutes or get a time slot and really just display his work, do all his recordings, talk about his whole creation process and all, and put that out there as a digital exhibition.
Yeah.
That file can be downloaded anyway. People will see it all over. They run ads behind it and all of that. Do you understand? So that's really challenging the role of what a gallery should be and what a curatorial house should be, because there are so many gaps and so many ways that you can actually use to push the artworks and a lot of, especially in this digital age.
Okay.
The idea of getting a number of people to come together for a particular day to sip champagne and he's trying to tell a lot of story about it, say it's private viewing, it's stressful. Honestly, it is. And it's very expensive. So a lot of times you have to run against that cost of, oh my God, I have to do this. There's nothing written that you must do anything in a particular way. You should be able to like challenge the norm and say, okay, you know what, I'm not having any private view it online. If you like it, you buy it. After all, we buy things online every day. Why do you think that because it comes to artwork, I have to preach? Oh no, the artist fairly got up. He's struggling. Please. It's your own personal interpretation and storytelling. So most times when I'm with people and we are viewing art, I like to hear their own perspective. Exactly. It becomes a conversation. It becomes a moment of bonding. You form a whole lot of relationship just by seeing people's perspective. And art is something that creates that level ground for people to come together from different walks of life, doctors, lawyers. It's so beautiful because you have pastors, people, and they tell you, this is what this means. And you are saying, oh, I saw it from this angle. Really?
Yeah.
Nobody is biased here. Everybody is not saying, oh, because I'm this tribe or because I'm this race.
This is what I'm saying.
Such a leveling ground.
Okay. So my own question, you said curatorial house. I've never heard that term before. So just for me and my viewers, what is a curatorial house? Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah, so a curatorial house, I'll describe a curatorial house as an institution or an organization or a body
Mm-hmm.
that our main job is actually to curate experiences.
Okay.
So you can curate experiences around various things. It could be hospitality,
Mm-hmm.
it could be lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
it could be every industry. You could create
Mm-hmm.
something around it. And our job really is to identify the various ways to
Okay.
which we could bring various concepts together using
Mm-hmm.
arts as a main medium.
That is really amazing. So, as much as I know her, and I've been to, I know her as an art curator, I'm also learning so much from this conversation. So, in 5 to 10 years, where do you see the Nigerian art space?
I said the Nigerian art space not as a niche anymore, but
Mm,
actually a standard maker. Do you
okay.
understand? I believe the Nigerian art scene, being from our history of what's, artifacts that were moved from Nigeria with
Yeah,
a lot
knock
of
art,
records that people
Benin
are
art.
intentionally
Yeah,
making these days, people will be able to trace more. And do you have more detailed information? You
yes,
have more information when you want to do your research, there is more details because more people would have spoken about things. More people would have
exactly.
spoken about various topics.
Mm-hmm.
More people would have used their various abilities to interpret common storylines.
Yes.
Yes.
So as a curator, what do you see difference from like the Nigerian art scene and the international scene?
What is different? First of all, what is different? Like every other economy and
Mm-hmm.
everything, what is different, number one, is the buying power of the people.
True.
Everything is priced here, even okay, intentionally, because you know it's a valuable asset and you
Mm-hmm.
want to help maintain a price benchmark so things do not depreciate if you're calling in. So a lot of things are priced in dollars,
Yeah.
which actually makes it difficult for a typical or a basic Nigerian to just want
Want
to
to
buy a
buy?
piece of art.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So they don't even want to understand that can I eat it? Is it can I build on it? What
Mm.
exactly is it? That market is
Mm-hmm.
really, that's why it's sort of looked at as an elitist market,
A
like a
space.
market space for a certain class of people.
Mm-hmm.
But it shouldn't really be. People should be able to collect their culture and their experiences and also have their timestamps
For
for
themselves.
themselves.
Okay, so you are of the school of thought that art isn't just for the 1% of the 1%.
At all.
It should be for everybody. Quality art. It shouldn't just
Oh
be
yeah.
1% of the 1%. So on that line, for art for an artist is their bread and butter, is their 9 to 5 business, however you want to look at it. How do you then, from the artist's perspective, strike a balance between, okay, this is my work, I put in time, resources, my intellectual property, because at the end of the day, it's intellectual property, and all of that, balance the pricing with, okay, what you think the economy can, or the market you are selling in can take.
Okay. As much as I'll say this from my understanding of the business at this point, what I've seen happen is that in the art system, there are class of artists.
Okay.
So there are
True.
works of certain people that you'll find in this category, in this price range. Why they've done their time, they are more visible, more institutional collectors are taking their works. They are more spoken about, they are highly respected within the artist circle. Do you understand? So even as artists, though that's kind of like the roadmaps that they too have to sort of like huddle through. But again, there is will I say social media today, or the digital amplification today,
True.
that is taking people from really just painting in their rooms to becoming superstars the next day. But then again, you understand that a lot of these things are trends, so anybody can blow up any day. But when it comes to like institutional collecting, there is more of legacy and culture. It's not just because this is trending, I can quickly
because he
get
has
one.
a million views on TikTok, you can just
so you now become one of those people that have it. Yes, there's that approach into the market where your works become prints. You can keep your masters, make 100 prints, make it go viral within a point of time. Cha is business. That is business. But then again, you must protect your masters. Those are your intellectual property.
What is a master's?
So masters is the original work.
Oh, okay.
the
Okay.
main craft. So from your masters, you can have prints.
Okay.
You can have copies of it. So you see Bruce's work that he made print versions of.
Yeah.
The master print, which is the screen he uses for printing, is still with him.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
And he can decide from this screen, I'm just doing 20 works. So you have 1 of 20, 2 of 23, just like that, up to 20 of 20. And he can say, okay, this masters, I'm valuing it at 10 million naira. That means if I have 20 works, I'm going to split 10 million naira into the price of every one of them.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are other ways that artists can use to push their crafts.
Oh, wow. I
and
didn't know
actually
that.
find a market for it. But a lot of them, it takes a lot of time to paint something.
Yes, it
Some
does.
people will hours. You see the precision, and I'm looking at it, and they'll say, I want to sell this thing. I don't know, it's not moving. I say, well, if you look at the buying power of people in the country right now, and you want your work to go, you would consider other ways to get things done.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So you can retain your masters as what it is, and that value keeps going up.
So you just adapt to the market.
Exactly.
So there's the masters. So let's say I paint a dog that is driving a car. I'm just giving an example. The original design can be with me, but I can then do t-shirts with the dog in the car and sell it. The quantity, I'll just divide the cost price of the masters by the quantity and sell it.
Exactly. So when it comes to choosing merchandise or where you want to print your work, it also depends on the value of that match. So a shirt, really, do you understand how much will people really pay for a shirt?
Shirt, true.
But again, except you can create some kind of storyline behind it, why it's the one of one. So a lot of branding, packaging goes behind. Exactly. Packaging goes behind the whole drama and why people will want to have it. So imagine you put something like that and Kanye West just comes up the next day wearing that shirt.
True.
I won't even sell shirt again. No. Before you will collect that shirt. You know? So, so those kind of things are things that actually create the difference. But again, that might just be a one-of-one experience. Okay. But when you are collecting institutionally, when you are collecting for value, collecting for culture, you look at the artist trajectory. It's not a rushed process. It's not something that... Do you understand? Yes, you can boom. Oh, there was a time this guy was really big, but what happened to his career? Not so much. Yeah. But then there are those that you've seen over time. They've put out beautiful body of works that have addressed sociocultural issues, economic issues. They become engraved in time. So people, when you have your children can even see that, oh, I remember this person was talking about, there's a whole lot of storyline that goes into it, and those add to the provenance of the artwork and how people value it.
Okay, so when a while ago, or even when I was younger, even till now, people still say it. People claim that artists always tend to blow after their time or after they've died. So Van Gogh, the rest, they didn't really sell. They were not popping when they were painting the paintings. But now their paintings are being hung in museums around the world. Some people claim that it's actually not the original. The original is somewhere locked up in one oligarch's house. Is the replica we're showing. There are different stories. So do you buy into that school of thought that artists tend to blow more after their time? Not even that they're dead, but it was not when they were hot. Maybe in their old age, they tend to blow.
So what happens there is, the artist has lived his life. He has told his story. It was on canvas. Somebody went there, saw it, interpreted those stories, made everybody hear it. Now everybody's running after it.
Okay.
A lot of times you really can't trace the artist's trajectory until after they've done a body of work. That's why I say it cannot be a rushed process. Because you might go viral today and tomorrow your work is because nobody's looking for you again. And all those, and I've spent how many millions to go and buy something. You will collect it back. You will collect that work back. But again, you have to see okay, who really is. Those are the cultural preservations that you now have, because imagine 10 notable people now have one of those prints. For you to now get and you have 20, the value of any other one has also increased. The value of the masters has gone way up now, because look at the people who are collecting, look at the hierarchy and where they actually sit in and all of that. And what you notice again is, so those people, they understand what it is. So some people buy for aesthetics and just mere appreciation, not because they actually say, okay, this guy, I'm looking at his pattern. See one show he did. Look at body of works he produced. Look at how he addressed things, materials he's using. All those things weave into the entire thing. So a lot of artists want to be more majorly stuck on a certain concept. But I feel as a storyteller, as someone who uses various form of art, visual art as a medium, you can talk about multiple things,
Sure.
because after a point, the story becomes still.
Fact.
Do you understand?
Fair.
So you want to talk about multiple things. You want to use your form or your style as a form of expression, addressing various things. So your voice is interpreted in various places. Because if you stay stuck on a certain subject matter or a certain way,
Yeah.
you just stay like that. And after a while, that story becomes, so various people are going to come up and tell the same story in different ways too.
Okay, so between me and you and my viewers, you don't need to answer this question, but just, have you ever seen an artwork and looked at the price and you're like, who is whining this one?
Oh, yes.
Have you ever thought this is it's way overpriced?
Yes. So you will say it's way overpriced at that moment because, and I will say at that moment, the artist trajectory can do very well tomorrow, and that becomes like a good value for that price.
Yeah.
And some artists are willing to wait out the time.
Okay.
I'm starting off at this peak, or at this point, this is how I'm going to be pricing my artworks. This is how I'm going to be reviewing my prices. I'm going to benchmark my prices against international standards based on these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 reasons, and that's really
okay. Before we wrap up, what are your views on NFTs? I know, like, lockdown, NFTs became a thing. Everybody was buying NFT with Ethereum, I think. But like now is not as popular, I don't think, for my own art, insights. I don't see NFTs popping like that. But what is your view on NFT?
So I'm going to ask you this question. What did you understand NFT to be?
For me, it was an electronic form of art. That's how I saw it. Non-fungible assets. I'd be non-fungible. Not be non-fungible something. I saw it as an electronic form of art. That's how I saw it. And people basically took payments for this electronic form of art with alternative currencies like cryptocurrency and the rest. But that was my own understanding as of when it took off during lockdown. That's how I understood it.
From my perspective, I see NFT as a business strategy.
Oh.
Do you understand? You understand what the digital space is, you understand the power it has and everything. So you can really create a storyline and put out there and people will buy into it. That's what we are buying as Bitcoin today.
True.
Somebody is telling you one story and all of us like, the thing is shooting like this. Guy, better do your own. You better find something, create a storyline behind it and push it, believe in it, so it can actually become something. Look at even Van Gogh that we are talking about today. The guy kept telling his story of his mental health and everything. People didn't really pay attention to him. But he has died now. Somebody is there ripping the hell out of money from his... Why? Because they're able to create a story behind it. So storytelling is very important.
True. So thank you so much, Naz, for coming on this show, coming on this episode. It's been really, really entertaining and really, educative. And that's what, we set out to do on Money Maketh Man. So other than being an artist in the art industry, being a curator, and obviously being an investor, what other professions do people who really appreciate art but cannot like draw or paint but want to be in the art industry, what other profession do you think is there to tie into the art industry? I don't know if you get the question.
So art is something that is very fluid. Whatever you do, I think there's always a way to tie art into whatever it is you're doing. So give me a profession and I'll tell you something that person can do.
A nurse.
So there's art for healing as an experience, as colors, using color theory and different things. So wherever space you find yourself, there's art for everybody. True. There's art for the wall, for the street, for the environment. When you can't plant greenery, you can paint plants on the walls and make the whole place still come alive. Because you're not just seeing whatever you see, your body is interpreting and it's telling your mind a story. So there are colors that will trigger you, there are colors that will pull you calm. So as a nurse, you can say, okay, for people in this world, this is how they are reacting. I know colors can help them like this. Let's put a certain side of lights that will flash on certain plants or certain things in a way that creates a form of experience. And that is actually the healing power of art. So
there's art for everyone. So that is really amazing. Personally, I know a few Nigerian artists that I like their work, and like I said before, Victor Anthony, Nengu's arts, Yinkore, Ayodudos. They're just some people that I've been seeing, and I see their trajectory, and I'm like, in like 10 years now, I'll be like, oh, I know these people. So thank you so much for coming on the show again. To all aspiring artists, your dreams are valid. You clearly have an industry with great curators who are waiting for you and waiting for your story. So hopefully in like 5-10 years, we're going to watch this episode back and look at the Nigerian art industry and be like, you know what, we said that, we preempted this. And until the next time you see my face, have a great day. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, tell a friend to tell a friend.
Yeah.
And this is Money Maketh Man. Bye.